Do you know who I am? Of course you do.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Bully Ray.
And you are watching.
Pro Wrestling for Life.
For life.
Tune in, or I'll put your ass through a table.
Welcome to another edition of Pro Wrestling for Life, everybody. We got a really big show today, or tonight, depending on when you're listening and watching this. But Nick Hausman is here to tell us what's on this show.
Yes, Sean X-Pac Waltman there, my co-host. We have a big show planned today. Not just one, but two big guests here. AEW went all out this past weekend. We're going all out here today. Right after we finish the news at the top here, we're going to hear from fellow WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley. And then after Mick, you're going to hear from another WWE Hall of Famer in Bully Ray. It's a buffet of Hall of Famers here today, Sean.
Yes. So,
yeah.
And they were both really, really good conversations.
Yes, really good.
Yeah, hope. I'm looking forward to everybody checking it out.
Yeah, for sure. And I try to do a game with Sean and Bully at the end of the Bully interview or conversation, and doesn't really go so well. So, that's
dude, you have a good track record usually. Every once in a while you swing and a miss.
This one was not so great, but whatever. Anyway, hey, I tried it. You can stick around to find out what the game is and how it went. That'll be revealed later. But I don't want to waste any time here today, Sean. This is, I've been very fortunate to be at some really big live events. Obviously, you've been a part of some really, really big live events. I was there when Punk came back at Rampage at the United Center just 2 weeks ago. And I'll say this, I don't know that I've ever felt energy like I felt at the Now Arena when back-to-back Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson came out to close All Out. It was just something I've never experienced, and I don't know that I ever will at a wrestling show again. We're going to talk a little bit about it with Mick and Bully as the show goes on, but any kind of top-line takeaways you want to put out there about what you thought of All Out, anything that stood out to you, anything like that, Sean?
It was a great show. I don't have a lot to... we talk about some of the stuff with Bubba, with Bully Ray, in the conversation that's coming up a little bit later. And, the Bucks and the Lucha Brothers, Punk and Darby. I don't know. I'm going to leave somebody off if I just start naming off the stuff, because it was a lot of great stuff on the show, Nick.
It really was. And, we talk about those big debuts at the end, but it was really kind of cool in 2021 to see Christian main eventing All Out, going one-on-one there with Kenny Omega. And, I think that when that match started, the fans kind of got quiet for a second because, we had already seen so much, and I think everybody kind of was looking forward to the finish. And I felt bad that, that match kind of got lost in the shuffle because by the end of that main event, I really thought Christian and Kenny had got him. I really thought that they showed themselves, like the vets that they are, really sold people on that main event. And I just know not a lot of people are talking about it today,
Well, there was just so much stuff that happened, man. So it's not surprising, but yeah, those guys did a great job. There's only so much energy that people have, right? And so when they're reacting to stuff, throughout the night, man, eventually the tank gets empty, and it's like they still had some left in their tank for that match for Kenny and Christian. It was a hell of a match, man.
Yeah, there were a lot of bangers. And one of the other things we haven't talked about, I know that doesn't come up in the Mick or Bully conversations, is Ruby Soho, really, man. I mean, the women, we talk a little bit about their match, I think, with Bully, but for Ruby to get that moment, after kind of seeing her as just kind of a secondary character in WWE for so long, really, really special, especially since she's kind of so synonymous with the Chicago market. She's been working around here for a long time. And
just to watch her come out and just kind of soak it in and just be her, just authentic self, not trying to put on some kind of a, she was just soaking it all in, Nick. And it was cool to see. She looked great. The stuff she was wearing was amazing looking. Appearance wise, she just looked amazing, and just really like, how can you not love that? You know?
Yeah, for
Seriously.
sure. Yeah, and somebody else that I think really stood out, or like I kind of saw, and I was like, man, they've really connected, is Eddie Kingston, man. Like, even though he didn't pick up the win against Miro, like, it is hard to argue that coming out of this program with Miro, Eddie Kingston didn't get elevated. I mean, the Redeemed These Nuts line from Rampage that went viral. I mean, just he's really built up a connection with the fans out there. I mean, Eddie Kingston's just killing it right now.
And he's not a guy that, I mean, everybody knows he's tough, right?
Right.
No doubt about it. But if he doesn't win, it doesn't kill, like, it's, he's damaged goods. He could take a loss. He's one of them type of guys, and still be fine. Not that you just want to beat guys like that, but like, you can do something like this, have him be on the losing end of a feud and still come out ahead.
Yeah, same thing with like Chris Statlander working with Britt Baker, that electric chair power slam that she did with both women. Super impressive. MJF losing to Chris Jericho. That one I was a little bit more confused about, just because they've been building up MJF so well. I don't know why he got the loss to Jericho, but even still, I mean, that was a fire match. Everybody kind of walked away happy from that one,
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, a lot to take in from All Out.
Yeah. And so, at the end, when, all this stuff happened with Adam Cole coming out, and like, at first, like, I was like, why are they sending Lucha and Jungle Boy out to like just get their ass kicked?
Right.
I was like, well, I'm not a big fan of that. And then like everything else played out, and then it all made sense, and it was really nice, with Brian coming out, and then they all, run him off or whatever. But at first I was like, whoa, why are they burying Luchasaurus?
Yeah, right.
Jurassics. Yeah.
Jurassic Express.
Yeah. This episode of Pro Wrestling for Life is sponsored by Roman. Look, no one's perfect. Even the best baseball players strike out with bases loaded. The best golfers sometimes three-putt with the tournament on the line. So if you feel like you come up short in the bedroom sometimes, it's perfectly okay. But if it's bothering you, there are options. Go to GetRoman.com/XPac now.
Yeah, and with Roman, you're going to get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for ED, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. A U.S. licensed healthcare professional is going to work with you to find the best treatment plan, and if medication is appropriate, it's going to ship to you free with 2-day shipping, fast and free, right to your door.
That's right, and the whole process is straightforward and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to GetRoman.com/XPac and complete an online visit. Take care of your ED without leaving home. Complete an online visit today to connect with a doctor and take care of it.
Yeah, just like Sean said, go to GetRoman.com/XPac now. Get $15 off your first month. And look, there's a straightforward way to take care of your ED. And like we just said, it's GetRoman.com/XPac.
That's right. Get started now to save $15 on your first month of treatment. And thank you, Roman, for sponsoring Pro Wrestling for Life. Hey, what's going on with tell me about you got a new comedy tour coming up?
Yeah, I don't call it a comedy tour.
Or your live show.
Yeah, you've seen what I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, going back, first of all, I think we have a new feud going on because both you and I are simultaneously borrowing from the Ramones.
How can you not, man? It's classic, right?
Yeah, I guess it was actually Scott did it first, right? It was.
I'm not sure.
Ramon. Yeah, Ramon. That was the first one. It's such a great, and it's the only shirt I can bring on the road that can rival the Wanted shirt. And I've tried a lot of shirts along the way, and so people really like this. Just trying to get in the middle of this thing. I always have trouble. There we go. Yeah. I'm making up all the dates that were on my schedule a year and a half before COVID.
Uh-huh.
And so I just did 2 shows. We have to throw in that word sold out. If we don't, it's a disrespect to Ricky and Robert. So
hanging from the rafters.
They sold every. Yeah, that's right. It's, you know what? Going back to Ricky's speech,
Yeah.
when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame, he says, "Well, Hoot, looks like we sold this SOB out," and there were crickets except for like 5 of us guys.
Right.
We're like, "Yeah." No one else even knew what that meant, but
Hey, they were really entertaining in their Hall of Fame induction speech.
yeah, they were.
They really were.
And they said it really helped with their indie bookings because those guys. Hey, look, just from the start, I'm not here to push the Rock and Roll Express on our time, but
Right.
they are a great team. They still put on great indie matches on indie shows, and it shows the old school stuff. Really, if you do it right, is still effective.
Oh yeah.
But I'm doing some shows. I'm all throughout the Midwest. We did 2. They were sold out shows in Springfield, Missouri, and now we go up to St. Louis and Peoria, Illinois. We do 4 cities in Iowa. I think 4 cities in Indiana.
Any Minneapolis?
Not Minneapolis yet. We're doing these 22 shows. When COVID hit, I was set to be on the road for 56 straight days. I strategically worked in 2 days off because I didn't think I could go for 56 straight days. And this time around, I'm like, I don't think I can go for 2 months. So we kind of divvied it up into 1 month where I cover the Midwest. And then in January, I get back out on the road and I cover some of the Southwest, a few of the Plain states. And if things are going well and I'm enjoying it and people are showing up, we'll just keep adding, tacking on dates as we go.
I came to your show here in LA and it's great, right? Like everybody loves the show, like everywhere you go. Has it changed a little or like have you updated it?
Yeah, it'll be a completely different show than the one you guys saw. That was one of my favorite nights because Nita Strauss played me on, and
Becky was there.
Yeah, Becky made a surprise appearance, and you and Becky joined me for the Q&A. It's like matches. You try to have your best match every night, but there's some to just stick out, and that was such an amazing night for me, and hopefully for all you guys. I remember about 6 months ago, I posted a video someone took of us just hanging out backstage. And I thought
Jimbo, my old co-host.
Yeah,
Jimbo.
yeah, that's right. And I thought that was highly entertaining just to see, the camaraderie back there. And that was also a bizarre night for me because I was joined. It was like I had my favorite actress.
Yes.
Beverly
D'Angelo, yeah.
Angelo, my favorite old school adult film star, Kay Parker was there, and my favorite old school Christy Canyon was there.
Yeah, Kay Parker from Taboo, ladies and
gentlemen.
gentlemen.
Way so late 70s. Yeah, the natural look, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it was just super cool. I remember I told a little story about Beverly. And she yelled out in the crowd, "I love you, Mick." So it was super surreal for me, just from the get-go, having Nita play me out, being a guy who never really had an entrance, and all of a sudden have Nita Strauss playing my entrance music. It was, I got chills. I really did. But this will be a different, 100%, almost 100% different show. I say almost because every once in a while you lean on a story that, you may have told. And I know comics, usually they 100% disregard everything, but in our case, they're stories. And sometimes I find an old story fits into a new show, as a bridge to telling that story. So I don't disregard everything. And then, of course, during the Q&A, if someone wants to know, ask a question about the cell or a couple matches I may have talked about in past shows, I'm not going to disregard that question because I may have talked about it at some point.
Hey, Mick, 56 day trip, how many pair of sweatpants?
Oh, man. One. I am. I use Roddy Piper. He probably didn't invent the buy and discard, use and discard theory, but it's when you're on the road, it's easier. We're one of the perks of being, in our business is every couple days, someone's bringing you a T-shirt, right?
Yeah.
So, I've got my core shirts, and now I've got my gimmick shirts so I can wear them and then say, hey, this is a shirt I wore. and get rid of that one, and make your occasional foray to a department store for a 6-pack of underwear, and that keeps
exactly. Just throw them away
Yeah,
when you're done. Yeah.
But I am going to get on Amazon and order another pair of sweatpants because 50. Well, this is I'm on the road for 6 weeks. I'm also I have a couple signings, a couple of days where I'm going to be hanging out with my kids on a little vacation. So I think I'm going to order up a new pair of sweatpants because no one can go 6 weeks with the same sweats, right?
Oof. I mean, you can try.
Yeah, they'll smell a little bit, but I mean that doesn't mean you can't do it. I mean, it's possible.
Hey, like I don't mean to sidetrack it, but one time I remember like we get off the plane and we're like at baggage check waiting to get our bags, and all of a sudden, man, like it was either a pillowcase or a plastic garbage bag comes down the gimmick, and it was Nick.
Oh yeah, man. I don't look, but you pay a price for getting the cheap stuff. Like this is my rolling bag, which now look at that. You go
exactly.
What?
Yeah.
It's time for.
Oh, we lost me. Oh wait, he's back. Dropped in and out.
The old in with the new.
Yeah.
My favorite thing that I've still ever seen you do at one of your live shows, and maybe it's just because I was a child of that era, but when you become Mankind on stage, it's really something for the audience. I mean, because we all know you as Mick and Cat, but to see you go all the way back to Mankind there and become that character, really, really fun for people to see.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. This is not just a plug for my Cameo videos.
Dude, you're the world champion of Cameo, dude. I mean, on the shadow of a doubt.
The key is I do the different characters, and I've written about 12 songs for birthdays, and I have fun doing it. I think people could tell I have fun doing it, but because I've been these characters, transforming into the characters, I do them pretty quick. It's about a 2 or 3 second change time. One thing is with COVID going around, I've got to stay healthy. So I say, when it comes time to do the VIP meet and greet, look, I got some bad news and some good news. I said, bad news, I have to stay healthy. I have to mask up during the meet and greet, because if I get sick, say if a WWE guy gets sick, then they send him home, the show goes on. Yeah. If I get sick, I can't do that to the people, rescheduling all these things. So I said, but the good news is you get a bonus photo with Mankind. So every night I'm taking the photo as me like this, and then boom, the mask goes on. So 2 nights ago, going back to what you were saying, Nick, it wasn't something I planned to do. And it also goes back to what I said about not disregarding something just because I've done it. It just so worked out that the final question lent itself to transforming into that character. And I have, speaking of the pillowcase here's, I've still got the pillowcase with me, the Mankind thing. And with Kane's help, I now I got the hair attached. So no one wants to see a short-haired Mankind. Look at Nick. Nick is transforming into a child before our very eyes.
I am. I'm geeking out right now. Yeah.
I asked the crowd just close their eyes for a couple seconds. And in the same way I would bend down and come up as Mankind, I did it again, but now when you got the mask, it's a whole different thing. So there's a situation where it was such an effective closer. I was like, I might use that as my closer, because it sends everybody home happy. And if 2 or 3% of the audience says, hey, didn't he do that before? I'm willing to go with a 97% approval rating.
Well, like, hey, Mick, like some of the stories are kind of like, our move set, right? Like, it's like they kind of want to hear a couple of the greatest hits.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah. I know when I go to see a comic, I don't care if they do 100% new stuff, especially if they got something that kills, and you'd be like, hey, you're going to tell that story about Adventureland? He's like, I wasn't thinking. There's a English comic, for example, his name's Carl Hutchinson. He's not a well-known name, but he opened for me on several shows when I was in the UK. And he tells this amazing story about being a teacher in the UK and how he would get his revenge on the bad students by leaning over a desk next to theirs and surreptitiously farting on the beds.
Dude, hey, anytime there's a fart involved in a story, man, I'm there. Like, dude,
Especially in the nice English accent.
yeah.
And every time I see him, I'm like, do the fart story. And so he was on stage second year we worked, and he was about to wrap it up. And I go, and I'm waiting in the wing. He's like, tell the fart story. And he looks over, he goes, Mick Foley wants me to do more time, not less time, more time. And so if something's really killing and people like hearing it, I always welcome a question, that can bring up a story. Like last night, I ended up telling a story about me and Vince and my 2013 Hall of Fame induction that I originally told in 2013 as part of that show. But a question came up, we brought it back to life, and 90% of the crowd has not heard the story anyway. The other 10% is like, oh, that's a good story. That's a good story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mick, you obviously are a great storyteller, and it's always wonderful to talk about your career. Your book, your first book, Have a Nice Day, I read probably when I was too young for it, and maybe messed with my head, and is maybe why we're all talking right now. But you're obviously a great storyteller. But you're involved in the current discussion of the moment, Mick. Before we connected here today, you went viral for putting out a video titled WWE We Have a Problem. Why did you feel like you wanted to put this video out, Mick?
Well, I'm telling you, the only deal I have with WWE is a nostalgia contract.
Yeah, me too.
Deal. They do pay people to be consultants. And if I was being paid to be a consultant, I would say, WWE, we've got a problem. And I'm just putting myself in the place of a top tier superstar who has a decision to make. And I would look at how AEW has treated their recent acquisitions, and I would compare it to how WWE has treated a few of their recent, as in development, bringing up to the main roster. And I would say, I don't know if I want to gamble to such an extent that I'm willing to have, everything I've done watered down or made a joke of. And so if somebody is a more intriguing character in NXT than they are in WWE, and it seems almost by design, I think that's a big, big problem.
Yeah. Well, when you say that, Mick, I'm sorry, Sean, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
I just, Mick, I can't imagine that, geez, I can't believe I'm having a it wasn't done lightly. I mean, you're a WWE, I'm a WWE guy. I love WWE.
Right.
I felt that it was done with love. I really do, man.
Yeah, it's not. It's done. It is. I'm trying. I love the company. I really do. And I think they need to hear that. I get, if I texted Vince and said, geez, that's one thing, and that might be effective, but I think it needs to get out there. And if it embarrasses them, I think that's okay. But I look at Keith Lee and look at how dynamic he was. I know Keith had some health problems, but it's like the guy comes out and you don't know that he's got that look. Like, you haven't done enough research to know that he is a big dude, and now you want to cover him up. That's part of his appeal, that he's loud and proud, and for whatever reason, his incredible entrance music is taking. Look, Sean, when you step into that ring in WWE, you came in a really unique way.
Yeah.
And I heard, I didn't see the AEW show, but I heard that as a tribute, Punk and Darby did a couple spots from.
It was like five different spots. They started the match up it was really cool, man.
Yeah,
it was it felt really good to see that. And I know mainly it's a tribute to Punk's a huge Bret fan. I'm a huge Bret fan.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think it was a tribute to me, but to the match.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm really proud of that match, Nick. It's My
How cool is
greatest
that?
match I was.
It's not only holds up, but that people are borrowing from it. That's amazing.
And people recognize the stuff. It was like an Easter egg, right? That you see
Yeah,
in
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
But
If
you know,
you
and
know.
people caught on. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. But just going back to what we were saying, man, yeah, I like in the case of Karrion Kross. That's why I said it. You don't reinvent the wheel. If the guy's got the best entrance, one of the 4 or 5 best entrances in the business, and then you send him out there as a generic guy and he loses in 2 minutes. You know, people were saying, there was one big fan saying, this doesn't hurt him. This doesn't affect him. It wasn't an NXT loss. And I'm thinking, dude, you only get one chance to make a first impression,
right.
you know? And now, can you dig that guy out of the hole? Yeah, you can, but he shouldn't be in a hole.
Why should you have to?
Yeah. So I think the AEW pressure is the best thing that could happen to WWE, because you remember being in WWE when we were in the war, when you guys came over. It was a major acquisition, right?
Yeah.
I remember that first night vividly, right? 98, every day after WrestleMania.
Yeah.
DX, you guys came in, left me and Terry Funk laying, and that laid the groundwork for my heel turn. Like that's the way you premiere somebody. And that's a memorable thing. But in that day, we didn't play ha-ha with people. That's a tribute to Pat Patterson, by the way.
Yeah. We
didn't play ha-ha with people's characters just for the sake of dragging them down. Like, if you had a hand to play and you could play it, they allowed you to showcase your best stuff.
Yeah.
And the idea of going out on the big stage being less than you can be. And but point I was going to make also is that WWE, you get in that ring, it's 2 feet bigger, but it might as well be a mile longer.
Yeah.
And I've seen people who seem to shrink because they kind of lose their confidence and their mojo. And once you've lost your confidence in our business, it can be really, really difficult. It doesn't matter how many people pat you on the back, talk to you, tell you you got it. You have to believe you've got it. And if you don't believe you've got it, and it comes in part because people are messing with your character, that's a problem.
Yeah, I can imagine, man, like having that amazing entrance and like all of that, and then showing up in your first match, you know, on the main roster. It's like you're walking out there naked, Mick.
That's what it's like, right?
Yeah,
that's what it's like. That's the problem with the big entrance is once they strip somebody of a big entrance, the writing's on the wall.
Mm-hmm. Cornette said something when he first saw that entrance. Like he said, it's not smart to like have women or kids or dog like something to just to compete with. Like, and there's a point to that because, that like it's hard to top that entrance, and then when you don't have it, man.
I still don't know why, but I wish the guy well. I've only met Cross a couple times.
Super nice
guy. Scarlett a couple times, so I am good friends with Keith Lee. You know, just
how many people, Mick? Speaking of Keith, since you brought him up, man, he has a connection with the people that very few wrestlers have, man, and I don't understand that. Like, take advantage of that.
I sent out a tweet after seeing him and Dijakovic on an independent show saying both these guys, need a look. Keith had been through developmental and been let go, which surprised me because, like you said, it's that connection. I haven't seen anybody quite like him, and they just need to let Keith be Keith. Again,
they don't let anyone be themselves.
We're going back to Jericho. Jericho kind of put a marker out a couple days ago saying they weren't ever concerned with the NXT ratings, they're concerned with the Raw ratings. So, and that's a bold statement to make. And if you're Vince, you don't want that, that would be seen as a devastating defeat. I don't want WWE to be defeated in a devastating fashion. I want them to go with their best hand. Going with their best hands means portraying the characters in their best light, and I just don't think they're doing that lately.
Can I jump in real quick, Sean?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, please.
So like, this is a video you made with love, and I believe that, right? We all want to see WWE succeed, and people keep working, and everybody makes money, and we all have fun, and there's no negativity, right? So you say WWE has a problem. Like, from your perspective, what do you think is the solution to that problem? Like, what are things you would be doing differently right now if you were WWE to fix whatever you perceive right now as kind of a problem, I guess?
Well, Jericho also in that talk with a rival wrestling network, I think they did it, busted open, said we don't put a line through our show an hour before it airs. And if people don't know, Vince will do that, and I know and my son is a part of the writing team. I would never be able to handle being on a writing team. I take a lot of pride in things I write, and seeing somebody rip it up in front of me would kind of send me heading for the exits. But you lose your continuity. When you promise people 2 or 3 different matches the next week and then they don't take place and you don't explain why, and then you have another show that does a really good job of telling you what's going to take place next week, and they also do a very good job of telling what's taking place on that show, even with graphics. So you're watching you're watching a match, and then they tell you what you were going to see in the upcoming 2 hours, and I think that's really smart. So I think I know Vince thinks he works his best under pressure, but you can't have continuity that way. I think you need to gather around who your big stars are, how you're going to push them. And they do it in some ways. They do an amazing job with a handful of people. I mean, this Roman Reigns thing, the tribal chief, and Paul Heyman's complete and utter subservience to him. Mm-hmm. Yes, my tribal chief. And the Brock Lesnar storyline, and even if Paul takes the call, he doesn't take it in privacy. He takes it on camera, which is fine. It's wrestling. But even when he tells Roman that he's received a call, he said, "I received a call from Brock." He's in character. And I think that stuff, I look at Roman and all the times I was like sticking up for him while the wrestling internet was taking their shots. Yeah. But I was saying what he needed to lose was the quirky facial expressions that turned people off. And I didn't know if they could actually go full heel with him, but man, he has turned in some amazing work. And so they do a lot of things well.
Damian Priest stuff has been really good.
Yeah, the Damian Priest stuff is really well, has been really good. So, but I just think they need to pay attention to continuity. They need to go back to big picture thinking outside of just the WrestleMania main event. And they need to let the talent be as good as it can be.
Yeah. And, you brought up your son Dewey working creative there. When Vince was under pressure last time and had to, make changes to compete, he became more open-minded. There was Vince Russo, there was Ed Ferrara. They kind of came in and changed it up. Is Dewey the kind
of that came from us, man? It wasn't all the boys pressured him.
All right, never mind. Tell me what happened. Tell me the truth.
We had a lot of say. And this isn't downplaying what Vince and Ed.
No, they did a great job.
But they did a great job. But they would bring us ideas, or else we'd bring them ideas. We'd work together on them. I remember Russo being so down the day at WrestleMania party because I think Sean had browbeat him about
not me, Sean, other Sean.
Yeah, the other Sean, Michael, about looking weak. And then within one night, 24 hours, DX was stronger than ever. So I don't think Russo was, should have received that browbeating, especially at the post-WrestleMania party. Right. But it just shows you how entwined, we were really hands-on with our angles. We would talk with each other. We did promos that felt real because they were real to a large extent.
Oh, yeah. Hey, did Vince used to call you on like Wednesday and run everything by you? What he was like, not Vince, but Russo. Used to call me every week.
Yeah, bro, this is gonna be it. And then I remember him telling me about Yurple the clown. We're gonna bring she's a party clown. I said, is she gonna have the shoes? He's like, bro, she's got the shoes, she's got everything. And so then, the interaction with me and Yurple was 100%. We didn't go with a script. you know, nobody gave us a script. All I knew going in was I've got a birthday party clown. The goal is I have to come in happy. Vince has to be relieved it's me and not Austin, and then my actions have to cause him to throw me out of the room, along with Yorpel, the birthday party clown, leaving the opening for Steve Austin to hit him with a bedpan under the guise of being a doctor. And so, you know, I never said, can I bring a sock puppet? Because he surely would have said no. It was just a given that you could try things in that day and age. But Russo was the idea man. But we Russo and Ed also, and then Tommy Blancha, when he came in, Tommy went on to do a bunch of, you know, writing in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Real talented guy. But we had a lot of say in what we did.
So is there somebody, so with that hiring, well, before I guess the next question, so what was it like to work with Vince in that period then? I hear, or Vince McMahon, right? I hear the relationship between y'all and Russo and Ed. How is Vince McMahon involved with creative kind of at that period?
At that time, he was super hands-on. Everything had to go through Vince, and Vince would hear things and he would tweak them. And then, but you could also argue with Vince if you didn't think it was we felt like we were part of a team. And we were all moving in the, you know, the right direction. And it was a great time. I remember coming a couple of years later, and I felt like it had changed. Of course, there was fierce competition among the top guys, as there should be. And middle of the card guys, you know, we're not necessarily content to be middle of the card guys. They all want to move up, and because we felt that pressure. And we knew that stars could be made. They weren't preordained. Like Dwayne Johnson would be a perfect example of a guy, you know, he was pushed. Yeah, he was. It wasn't working. He went back to being, not back, but they made a change where he was just a member of the nation. And then you could see it come alive. And one day when he went third person, he said, The Rock. And you saw that character come alive. And like you said, there was no glass ceiling on him. So when that character took off, or Steve wasn't supposed to be a major star, to the point where Sean, you would have been in WCW at this time, and I've written about this, so forgive me if anyone's heard it, but Jimmy Miranda came around with the list of gimmicks, action figures, t-shirts. So they had guys, you know, they had a few guys who, and I don't want to knock them, who did not go on to be major stars, who had every check on the list, you know, was marked off. And it came to me, all they had was a t-shirt, just one thing, a t-shirt. Steve Austin came over and said, "Hey, Miranda, how about a t-shirt for Stone Cold?" And Jimmy got kind of flustered, and he was like, "I'm sorry, Steve, the office just doesn't see potential in marketing you."
Wow.
And clearly that changed. But it wasn't preordained that Steve Austin is here on the card. When his character started showing, you know, getting over on a grassroots level, WWE, they responded accordingly. And I think sometimes now that if this was the modern day, he would suffer 2 or 3 quick losses and be back where they thought he should be. So we really had Mankind would be an example of a character that wasn't supposed to hit the heights, that it did or I did. So going back to them having a problem, I think they need to sit down. I think Vince needs to hear the word no a little more. And he is a force of nature. It's tough to go toe to toe with him, but
even if you're right,
even if you're right. But now I just think I would not have put that video out if I didn't think that now was the time. I did it a few years ago, 5, 6 years ago. I think it was when Becky Lynch and Sasha had a 2-minute match after I'd seen them tear the house down in NXT, and I got hot, and I was like, "Hey, look, I'm on the verge of I'm about to stop watching the show." And I'm a huge wrestling fan. And if I'm on the verge of not watching the show, that means hundreds of thousands of other people are going to feel that same way. Please do something different. And they did. And not necessarily because I did it, but there was a grumbling. And, you know, if you've got these 2 amazing talents capable of tearing the house down, have one of the greatest women's matches of all time, and you put them on the flagship show for the first time and give them 2 minutes, you know, that's a problem. So I don't intend to be that guy. And I said when I left WWE, as a commissioner, because my son was on the writing team. I know or general manager rather. I know general manager is largely, it is it's a fictional position to some extent. But I also felt like, you know what, in other ways it was not. I was that representative of the company, and I'm going to hold off on saying anything, almost like I was a former president, especially because my son was with the company, and I wanted him to be able to grow on his own. But every once in a while, if I think it needs to be said, I think I owe it to the company to say it, and I have.
Yeah. Hey, Mick, something you said in the video really caught my attention, and it was you were talking about the trust that you put in creative. And back then, man, I'm with you. Like I when I came back in, like I still had my guard up, right? Like I was like, yeah, no one's gonna walk over me this time, and whatever. And finally, Vince had to go, hey, man, we know you know how to shoot the gun. Now you can leave it in the holster. But I eventually, I had faith, man. I had a lot of trust in them, and they did right by me for a long time.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man, I was with you on that, man. You at that time, it was easy to put trust in them.
It was easy at that time. And that's the point, and not to belabor it, but it's not as easy to put your trust, especially when there is a really good, viable other option. Yeah. So I would just think in the mindset, if you're Adam Cole, you're like, you know what, NXT is going to be the pinnacle for me as far as my WWE experience. I don't think they're going to push a guy of my size. Would any of us be surprised if he dropped 2 or 3 matches quickly on the main roster? Probably not.
Not at all.
And instead, he puts himself in a position where as he said, he has one of the great moments of his life, so great that his knees got weak. And I think, guys like Bryan Danielson say, this is where I want to be. This is the competition I want to be against. I think I can create that. And Bryan made amazing moments in WWE, right? One of the biggest stars of the generation.
Oh,
yeah. He feels like he's got more left in his tank, and so off he goes.
The emotional equity he has with the people,
Yeah. Hey, can I just get a quick plug in for my ticket link going around? So, I got to get going here in a second.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I really appreciated talking with you guys. We did a 40-minute talk about a 1-minute video. So that was cool. Hey, you know what happened? I was at the show during the Q&A. And the first question is, what do you think of the AEW show last night? And this is kind of telling, all right? I had 2 nights of sold out shows, right? And it's about a 200-seat venue. I come out on the first night, but there's only about 120 people there. And I think some of it had to do with the fact that some of these people made reservations a year and a half ago. I think some of it had to do with some people choosing to stay home to watch what they thought was must-see programming. Because last night I went in and it was packed. So the only difference is on one of those days, there was an AEW pay-per-view. So I think that's really telling. If people are foregoing a live Foley experience to watch a show on PPV, I think that's saying something. But the first question was about that show. And I said words to the effect. I didn't say we've got a problem, but I brought up a couple of things we discussed. And I said, yeah, I think this is going to be the quote of the day. And when I got home, I was like, oh, people are going to pick up on that. As long as they're going to pick up on that, they might as well hear it from me. And so I put it out there, but I don't shy away from questions. And thanks for saying that you guys enjoyed it. If people want to see me on the road, go to realmickfoley.com. And if they want one of those cameos, that's cameo.com/mickfoley. And I will exceed your expectations.
Hey, so one of the main reasons why I wanted to have you on the show, Bubba, and I know you're busy as fuck, man. So I hate asking people, especially you're doing Busted Open all the time. But man, I was on Pluto TV and I ended up on the Impact channel, and it was the stuff that was playing was right during that time when you really were dialing it in as Bully Ray. seriously, man, I hit you up because it's one of the best heels I've ever seen, like in all of like wrestling, any era, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, and it was more than like, okay, obviously you got in shape and you changed like what you were wearing and everything, but it was way more than that.
When kid, when me and Devon got to that stage of our careers where we had nothing left to do, we had to kind of do something different, something new. There were no teams left for us to work with on the planet. There were no championships for us to win. So, it was kind of a nice place to be in where you could sit back and go, okay, we've done it all.
Yeah.
But then it's like, all right, well, we still got lots of gas in the tank. What do we do now? Devon always wanted to try to do his own thing. He always, he got into this wanting to be a singles wrestler. I knew since the first time I had ever seen the Wild Samoans versus like Gurria and Martel and the Strongbows and Fuji and Saito that I wanted to be a tag guy. So I never wanted to be a singles wrestler, but I knew that it was time to do something different. So I had to come up with a name, and I had to do something drastic because, when you're so synonymous with a tag team, very few guys are able to break out of it, and do something on their own. So everybody hates a bully. So I'll just call myself Bully Ray. I already had a little bit of a reputation that I could fall back on with perception and reality. Yeah. So I didn't mind the heat at all. And I said, if there's one thing that I can do to get everybody to notice me like in an instant, is I can cut my promos and get into the best shape of my career. Yeah. As the Dudley Boys, as Bubba Ray Dudley, from the day this gimmick started to what it evolved to, we never needed to look like the Road Warriors.
Right.
We just needed to have a work rate and a great finish. And I'm happy to say that we were able to, to have those things, working with you and Road Dogg. We had some, such fun, fantastic, entertaining, great storytelling, good matches, So this is what I had to do. And I had this vision of what I thought a heel should be at that time in the business. And I was lucky enough to have Eric Bischoff hand me the ball.
Oh, nice.
Like, and being friendly with Eric and working for Eric, if Eric understands you and you have a good chemistry and relationship with Eric, things can work out. And me and Eric had hit it off from day one. And I'll never forget, the day that he said to me, this is an idea I have for you. Do you think you could pull it off? And I got to tell you, man, when I heard, when he's like, how do you feel about being the leader of a biker gang? I was like, oh, man, I don't know about that. But, I knew he had the vision. I knew he was into the whole Sons of Anarchy thing. Yeah. So we ran with it, and it worked out.
It felt authentic, Bubba. It really did, man. I'm not lying.
Nothing was scripted, kid. Nothing. Zero. He never, ever handed me lines. He never told me. He always just gave me a bullet point, and it would be a verbal bullet point. He'd say, Bubba, you know the story. Here's something I need you to talk about. Go out there and do it. And I was lucky enough at that point in my career where I knew I needed somebody to make me better. I mean, I had the luxury of working with an AJ Styles. So in the ring, I was able to get better because AJ, being as great as AJ was, I felt, even though I was the veteran, I had to work up to AJ's level of athleticism, and he would have to work up to my level of storytelling. But I needed somebody bigger than me. I needed a name, and I got Sting and Hulk Hogan at the same time. So that was like, holy shit, this is an amazing opportunity for me. Every time I went out there with Hulk on the microphone, I went for his jugular. I just wanted to grab him by the throat verbally and just own him, because I had that kind of, I was passionate about what I was doing. I had a fire under my ass. And then getting in the ring with Sting, I knew that anything that I dished out, he would be able to bring back. So I got to work up to these levels that I never had an opportunity to do before. And it created for some good storytelling. And I think it was a win-win for everybody, including wrestling fans.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Can I ask while we're talking about this, because like you had a chance to step away and completely reinvent yourself, and I agree with Sean wholeheartedly. I didn't know that we were going to start with this, but your Bully Ray run was one of my favorite things that I'd seen in wrestling in years. You were really great in that role. What's it like for you to get to watch other talents right now, like a Miro, getting to go out and reinvent themselves like you did? Like, you know, there's a lot of talents out there trying to recreate kind of a little bit of the energy you were able to do with that second, chance at a wrestling, character in life.
Nobody knows how to be Miro better than Miro knows how to be Miro. And nobody knows how to be Bully Ray better than I do. And the boys, the guys and the gals who have the luxury of working in an AEW right now, or an Impact right now, or an NWA right now, actually any place that's not the WWE right now, they have the luxury of having at least 50% input into what they're going to do out there. And I think they even have more than that, but I'll just call it a 50-50 relationship between creative and the boys, of how they think they should be, perceived by the fans, what they would like to give the fans, what they would like to say. And kid, this, anytime you get to go out there and be the version of yourself you want to be, or you think you should be, there's a comfort level up here, and you can flow out there, and you're not worried. You don't have to worry if you're saying the right words that were written down for you that you would never say in the first place.
Yeah.
So, you know that if you miss the tackle, drop down, hip toss, arm drag, body slam, that you can improvise, and the producer is not going to chew you out because Vince just chewed him out. So,
man, I've been sent back out to redo my whole match before. Talk about humbling. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but it sucked, man.
I was sent back out once to redo the last minute of a match, and it was one of the hardest pills I've ever had to swallow in the business.
Yeah. It was actually he sent Eddie Guerrero and I back out. Yeah, man. Hoo-wee.
And Eddie, everybody loves Eddie to death, and rightfully so. But Eddie had a temper. So how did he handle that?
It wasn't good, man. Like it man, it hurt his pride or whatever. And Vince just didn't like what we did, man. And he's the boss, and we went out and redid it.
That's it.
He liked it. He said it was good the second time, so whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, man. So, the other thing, and we can ask the other stuff on the other side of this, Nick.
That's fine. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, take your time.
I was surprised, man. We had Scott Norton on, one of the greatest arm wrestlers of all time. And I asked him, I was like, besides yourself, like, who would you, rate as the best arm wrestler you've seen in, of all the boys in the industry? And, I was expecting a Rude or maybe because I remember him talking about Big Show at one time, man. It didn't take him half a second to spit your name out.
That's really cool to hear.
Yeah, man. And he said he used to be in Japan, and you'd be working for the other company, and every day he'd go to the gym, your name would already been signed in before.
Kid, I'll never forget the first time me and Scott crossed paths. It was in Corrigan Hall, and I think we were working for All Japan at the time, and I hear this voice billowing through the hallways. Are those fucking Dudleys here? And I was like, and Devon's like, who's that? And I'm like, that's Scott Norton. And he walked into that room, he filled up that doorway, and he was so cool from day one. And, we hit it off with him, old school camaraderie, yada, yada. As far as an arm wrestler is concerned, they nicknamed him Flash for a reason. When he put that arm on the table, he would flash guys so quick, they didn't know what to do. Tremendous forearm strength, tremendous wrist strength, grip strength, all the things that you need to be a world-class arm wrestler. And you remember a girl from back in the day that I used to be with? Her name was Fawn. Anyway.
You.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
You met her a couple times. Anyway, her dad, his name was Apache Dan Carr. And Apache Dan Carr was a 2-time world champion arm wrestler, and he was the inventor of the power grip of professional arm wrestling. He's also the original inventor of the American Gladiators, which is
really?
an interesting little point. So I had picked up a couple of tips from him along the way, and I remember him telling me from day one about Scott Norton and how great he was. And Scott Norton arm wrestled like Cleve Dean. John Brezink. Yeah. And you're talking about the top of the food chain of arm wrestlers that ever existed. So to have Scott Norton pay me a compliment like that is very humbling, and it's cool to hear.
It was cool to hear from me, man. And it just the way he didn't skip it didn't take a second for him to spit that out, man.
That was cool. Yeah, he's a great guy. I know he just had some surgery, and I know he's doing well. So love him to death.
Hey, oh shit. Oh man, I hate that. Happens.
It's all right.
Hey, Bubba, they talk about greatest tag teams, GOAT tag teams, and I look at them like greatest dominating tag guys that went out there and just fucking dominated. And like I think of Road Warriors and Steiner Brothers, and you guys are in that conversation easily, cool. Man. I just don't think that, like, man, you especially when you left Vince and you guys went to All Japan, you guys ran that table over there like the Road Warriors, man.
Whenever we talk about who's the greatest of all time in wrestling, it's all subjective. We know that. What really makes anybody the greatest at what they do in wrestling?
The people thinking that, right?
Sean, if the red light is on and I'm on TV, I will tell you that the Dudleys are the greatest tag team that ever existed. In reality, I will tell you that I'm just happy that our name is even in the conversation. Right. Because in my eyes, the Road Warriors were the greatest tag team of all time for a very real reason. And that reason is they put asses in seats. Mm-hmm. They drew money. I'll sit here and I'll tell you that me and Devon would go out there and steal the show many a night, but were we the guys that put the ass in the seat? Probably not. The Road Warriors did. And you know that at the end of the day, it's all about business. And when you had a tag team that could draw the same money, if not more, than your world heavyweight champion at the time, that speaks volumes. So when I think of the greatest tag teams, it's the Road Warriors, it's the Midnight Express, it's the Rock and Roll Express, it's the Freebirds, it's the Steiners, yada, yada, yada. I'm proud that me and Devon were never supposed to succeed, ever. And I know that's kind of cliche, and a lot of guys say that. We were fucking dorks in a comedy act. When you didn't know what to do with somebody in ECW, you made them a Dudley.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
You made them a Dudley. But me and Devon had this chemistry, and I kind of was feeling it over and over. I said, I think there's something here. And I said to Paul, I said, I think if you put me and him together and give us an opportunity, we can do something. Mm. And that was it. He said, okay, fine. You're together as of tonight. And we went out there, and the very first thing I knew we needed a finish. I said, if we have a finish that we can hit out of nowhere at any time on anybody, we'll be 50% there. So, it's been a great career, Hall of Fame, all this happy horse shit, blah, blah, blah. I'm just glad that we can even still talk about, great tag teams. And if my name is mentioned in the conversation, I'm like, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it feels good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, man, how's your body feeling?
Awesome.
It seems like it, right? Like, awesome. The way you walk, like your posture and everything. Yeah,
I feel great. I just turned 50. I feel great. Yes, aches and pains and all the other stuff that comes with the territory, but nothing major. if you're smart about the bumps you take, you bump correctly, yada yada. You know, you'll be as good as we possibly could be at this stage of the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, and you keep it. It seems like you're keeping in shape, so that helps.
Yeah.
You gonna get back in the ring at all?
I will only go back if there's the right story to tell.
Yeah.
I have no desire to wrestle for the sake of wrestling. There is something out there that I think could be a big deal, but the planets have to line up for it to really happen. I'm not one of those guys that desires to wrestle every week. I'm a storyteller. That's what I pride myself on, and that's what I know I'm good at. And I know I'm good at the bigger match, the money-making match, the blow-off match. And that's what really intrigues me and gets my blood boiling.
Yeah. Hey, Bubba, I don't know if you probably not you'd really think about, but my very last match in the WWE was in the ring with you in that like 8-man or that 10-man when Kev blew his quad. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's my last WWE match. Yeah. So it was with
Kid,
you.
I remember that.
We pulled that together, huh? Like a lot of that was you, man. I don't like you. You really pulled it together in there, man. We because it was like, oh fuck, man, what do we do now?
I remember Kev getting the hot tag.
Yeah.
And he comes in and he dropped who was ever in the ring, and then he was coming to blast me off the apron, and here he comes, and boom, he just went down, and I knew something was up. I dropped right off the apron, and I knew I just had to get him out of there. At least just get him to safety so he wouldn't, be any more injured than what he was. And then we kind of got back in there and we pieced it together and,
Yeah.
it worked.
Yeah. Hey, one more thing.
Yeah.
I feel really, I swear to God, I feel really bad about this, man. I came back to did that thing TNA with Scott and Kev, and we were supposed to have that match with you. And you got you specifically put me over in the match on TV to build for this pay-per-view. And then I test positive for Hep C and they take me out. And so I never got to return the favor. And
I know that old trick. I know that old trick.
Aha. I'll get Hep C so I don't have to do the job for you.
Oh, brother, I got Hep C, brother. I can't make it. I'll get you on the next shot.
All right, Nick. That's all this. You want to hop in here?
Look, I'm not. Look, he's saying it at the time because I have it's a big weekend, right? Bully.
Yeah.
I mean, you do punditing all the time, Busted Open Radio. I had the privilege of getting sit next to Dave LaGreca during the show and his wife. It was wonderful. But dude, for you, is this as big of a shift and change in energy as a lot of people are making it out to be right now? How does this feel to you right now where we're at with AEW and WWE?
I think these companies are going in two completely different directions. One company is a traditional pro wrestling company. The other one is a very much week by week be more and more sports entertainment, as we speak. AEW is as close to competition as the WWE has had in forever. But I don't think the WWE is looking to get into a fight with these guys because we've already seen a little skirmish and how it ended up. Perception-wise, AEW has the energy and the enthusiasm of the pro wrestling fan base because they are giving fans everything that these fans feel that they're not getting from the WWE. Me and Kid were lucky enough to be there when the WWE gave the fans everything that they wanted. And I'll be damned, Kid, I'm a fucking huge DX mark. I loved the group because the group dripped with attitude and energy and piss and vinegar, and there was everything about it. And when you look back in history and you go, okay, this worked and this worked and this worked, why don't we just kind of try to repackage it and do it again? And what I am seeing is Tony Khan and AEW have looked back and went, okay, this worked in ECW, this worked in the Attitude Era, this worked in WCW. I'm going to put it all together in a big bowl, call it AEW, and I'm going to pour it out there for the wrestling fans, to enjoy. I think we're getting the
for
best.
everyone.
Yeah, I think we're getting the best of all these other companies because Tony was a huge fan. I mean, as a 12-year-old kid, he's sitting in the third row of the ECW arena. Yeah. What he got to experience a real wrestling revolution live. It happened. His eyes saw it. His ears heard it. Yeah. He knows what it feels like, that groundswell. And then being a fan all of his life and knowing what worked or what didn't work. And they're working out the kinks. They're tightening their screws. Listen, we could sit here and we can point out the little problems they have. Mm-hmm. They really don't follow their rules at times. The refs need more credibility. It can get spotty at times, but you know what? They'll eventually get through this stuff.
That's what I try telling people. Yeah.
They'll work through it. What I think a lot of the younger talent need to do there is just listen a little bit to what the Billy Gunns have to say. Just listen a little bit to what the Dean Malenkos have to say. Listen a little bit to what the Jerry Lynns have to say. Because nobody, including myself, I will never tell a talent to not do something. If you want to do a reverse 450 acai moonsault with a twist and a cherry on top, go and do it. Just make sure you're doing it at the right time for the right reason. You got to make sense of everything that you do. And that's when psychology and athleticism come together. So I think that AEW has a bright future.
Yeah. I think the things where, like you're just talking about, things, a lot of that stuff will work itself out with the talent, like as they, trial and error and just figuring things out. And I think that, man, the energy and that new car smell and all of that, like I think it compensates for a lot of that, man. I think people are willing to overlook some of that shit, because they see what's being put into that, man, and they see that they're cared about, that what they want, like, you know what I mean, like, yeah, fan service. Fuck.
Kid, I was a part of a company that was the original Groundswell. I know a lot of people like to look back on ECW and some people take shots at it, but anybody that was there or actually has a brain can appreciate what ECW brought to the table. And I see AEW doing that also. ECW had a very close relationship with its fan base. AEW has a very close relationship with its fan base. The fans in AEW feel like they're the 12th man on the field. Yeah. They feel like they're as much of a part of that show as the talent is. Each city wants to be louder than the next city. Each city wants to prove that they're more of an AEW diehard than the other. And when you have that kind of trickle-down effect, it's only going to make for a better show, a better live experience, a better TV show. The talent's going to work harder. It's a win-win across the board. Yeah. I mean, let me ask you your opinion. What do you see in if you were talking to Tony Khan right now and you said, Tony, you have to fix one thing right now, what would you tell him?
Ooh, I honestly, Bubba, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if I'd want to put my, tinker with anything, man. Like, okay. It's just, fair enough. Yeah. I mean, like, not that there's obviously some things like, the ref and the tag matches, things like we were just talking about, but man, I don't know.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, for sure. And hey, while we're talking about what they're doing, there was a really banger tag match, Lucha Brothers, Young Bucks. What did you think of what they did out there, Bully?
I thought it was one of the greatest spot fest tag team matches I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. It was fun, man.
When I say spot fest, I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm saying that in an accurate way because they did a shitload of spots. There was move after move, spot after spot. But you know what? Sometimes on the card, there's a need for matches just like that. Every once in a while, we can take the psychology of a traditional tag team match, throw it out the door, go buck wild
Yeah.
and get what we got from the Bucks and the Lucha Brothers.
Yeah.
Now-
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, kid.
No, I was just saying, like, I thought that they did a good job of like the stuff in between the moves, the selling the facials and stuff like that. And I thought they shot it good. Like, so yeah, it was like there wasn't the traditional. It's like, oh, do you have a tag match like you and I are, like we like. But like, yeah, man, it was entertaining as fuck. It was the people, they loved it, right? I guess it was hard, man. It took some of the oxygen out of the building for the next few matches, didn't it?
I talked about this on Busted Open. With a match like that, as a booker, Tony has to be very careful about what follows a match like that. Because a match like that is kind of like having great sex. You need a cigarette afterwards. So I thought the girls' Gauntlet Battle Royal did a good job of keeping the people at close to the same level. There definitely wasn't a tremendous drop off, and these are the things that I try to listen for during the match. So I thought the women did well. And getting back to the tag match, like we were saying, I think they did a great job of registering. I think they did a great job of selling. I would just see there are things that happen that I see that sometimes I just can't wrap my head around. Like if you take a Canadian destroyer off the top rope, you probably should be dead.
I would be. Fuck, man. You don't got to fucking do much more than that to beat me.
Yeah, and
it's funny. It's like as you get older, like if me and you were in the match and somebody said to us, "All right, man, it's your time to be out of the match. What should I take you out with?"
What's your finish?
Well, you know what?
Tuck your head.
Give me a good clothesline. I'll just lay there. I'll be fine.
Hey, Nick, do you know about the Scott Hall? Dude, what did he say to you? Tuck your head. Finish.
He got me so good. We were in LA at the Staples Center. It's probably around, 2002, 2003. Yeah. And Scott and Kev come in, and I went up to introduce myself to Scott because we hadn't met in ECW, but I don't think he remembered. So I went up and I introduced myself. Scott turned around. He's like, "Hey, brother, how you doing? Heard so many great things about you. Can't wait to take your finish. 1, 2, kick out." And I got so and he saw me getting mad, and he was like, "I got you." And I was like, "Yep, you got me."
damn, wow.
Hey, man, thank you, Bubba, for taking the time,
absolutely.
man.
My pleasure.
Yeah, this is fun.
I have a little game real quick if you guys would like to play it. So it's this game that I came up with. It's called Book It. So obviously fans love fantasy booking, right? But you guys are two of the best to ever be in the ring. So I thought it'd be fun to maybe give you guys two wrestlers to see how you would book it for a match that people are kind of excited to see. So would you guys mind playing Book It here on the show right now?
Okay.
Dead silence. Okay, wonderful.
Better be good, Nick.
We'll start with, we'll see. I mean, it's on you guys here to make it good. We'll start with Sean, right? And then we'll let Bully close here, so you'll have a second to think. And so, Sean, I'm going to keep it simple here. People want to see Roman Reigns versus The Rock, right? How do you get to that? How would you book to Roman Reigns versus The Rock? I'll let you go second, Bully.
Oh, come on, man.
Is this too hard? Bully, do you want to go first? Do you have ideas? All right, Bully, you want to take first?
To me, it's pretty easy. It's all about family and being the head of the table. So if Roman Reigns sits at the head of the table and is the most accomplished and most successful Samoan that has ever stepped foot in a WWE ring, there's only one Samoan out there that can challenge him for that label, that moniker, that title. And that's The Rock. And The Rock has to come back in and humble Roman and remind him where he came from. And then Roman needs to beat Rocky in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. In the first one, or you think they do two?
If
just the one.
I don't know what Rocky has. Like, I think getting just the one out of Rock is a big deal. And they'll probably Listen, they got 101,000 seats to sell at AT&T Stadium, for WrestleMania next year. So if that's your one, I guess you got to do it, unless you're going to save it for LA the following year. But who knows, where we're going to be by then.
Nope.
Rocky with his career, hopefully everybody's still, healthy. But to me, the story is pretty easy because it's all about family. And the packages that you put together start with the High Chief Pete Maivia. And you just run the gamut of every Samoan that's ever come through the WWE and had a modicum of success. And you end up with Roman and Rock.
Nice. Yeah.
Sean, do you have any counter? Would you change
I don't, dude. Honestly, no. Yeah, I'm not good at that kind of shit anyways, Nick.
Well, hey, I thought I'd try it out here. I'm trying to think we're outside the box.
I mean, putting me on the spot like that. I mean, I can come up with good ideas, but it's not like
it really was. If you're for those in audio form, it was like deer in the headlights, and Sean crapped his pants a little bit there. I shouldn't have put him on the spot like that. Enjoyed it though. All right, hey, yeah, that's the end of the game. That was Book It. Maybe we'll play this one again.
Probably
sometime.
not.
You don't like that one?
Yeah.
Okay, that was a one.
Nick usually has really good games.
I was like, well, let's lead into the fantasy booking stuff here. We're gonna have you and Bully together. Why not? All right. Hey, I thought it was good.
Hey, man, let's let Bubba go about his day. He spent a half an hour with us already.
Bully, thank you. What do you want to plug, promote, put over here? Anything you want to tell people to go support you with?
Nah. Listen to us on Busted Open every day,
Yes.
Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon. We have a lot of fun on the show. The show's doing well.
It's great. It's doing great.
I'm proud that we have an honest pro wrestling show that calls it down the middle and doesn't show any type of favoritism to any company. It's
you do, man. You really do. And you got
people
on and you have people like you have people on from WWE sometimes, AEW sometimes, and I like the fact that WWE like doesn't get hot about it, right? Like they're not. I mean, they're still just they're still giving guests.
We have a really good working relationship with the WWE, with AEW, with all the companies, and most wrestlers know that they can call us at any time. Like if you have something you want to promote and you get in touch with me, you go, Bubba, can I hop on Busted Open? I'm like, absolutely. It's like a home for the boys and it's a home for the fans. It's a place where everybody in this wrestling community can come together for honest pro wrestling talk. Not what's going on backstage, not dirt sheet bull crap, not, no spoilers. It's like we'll all watch wrestling together. We'll all talk about it together, and maybe we can even make it a little better together. And that's what we try to do.
All right, everyone. That's it for this episode of Pro Wrestling for Life. Really want to thank Bully Ray and Mick Foley for taking the time. I mean, each of them gave us like over a half an hour of their time. Really grateful. And who am I missing?
That's it. It was just you, Mick, Bully, and me. And honestly, I'm the odd man out in this Four Horsemen right now. The pleasure was all mine. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you like the show, we're at Pro Rest for Life on pretty much all the social channels right now. And of course, if you like the show, the best thing that you can do to really support it, help us find new fans, head over to our iTunes page, leave a comment, leave a review, leave a 5-star rating. You guys have been great about that. We're on the road to 1,000 reviews over on the iTunes page. If you can help us hit that by the end of the year, that would be awesome. And that's all I got for today, Sean.
All right. Well, see y'all next week.
Bye, everybody.